Hey, what is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the S tier champions for every single role for patch 9.17. Alright, so if we start off in the top lane, expect the meta to stay pretty stable and expect it to stay as to where it was in last patch. So the only changes to top laners in this patch were to Kayle and to Pantheon. I guess if you want to count Nico and Kiana as top laners as well, then they also got changed in this patch, but those changes are not going to affect the S tier champions. Kayle, the changes were pretty nice, but not enough to propel her up into S tier, and same thing for Pantheon. So top lane right now still dominated by your bruisers. Kled, definitely your strongest top laner, still in 9.17. Your Darius, your Jax, your Renekton, all very good bruisers as well. If you do want to play a strong laning top laner, you got your Darius, your Alawi, and your Renekton. If you want to have more presence around the map, help your team out, help them snowball, then you can play either the Shen or the Kled. Really good at winning their lanes and then influencing the map. Now for Jax, he's fresh off of that buff to his Q last patch, so still a very strong top lane pick. Once you get to your Trinity Force and once you get your Sojin, he's very hard to beat in the 1v1 in the side lane, so you can just draw a lot of pressure with Jax, and a lot of the time the enemy team is going to have to send at least 2 members to the side lane to try to stop you, and a lot of the time with Jax you're actually going to be able to win those 1v2s and just carry very hard by the amount of pressure you can provide for your team. And then for Mordekaiser, ever since his rework, he has been one of the strongest top laners, so he still hasn't been nerfed enough to drop him out of S tier. So if you are looking for an AP top laner to add to your champion pool, then definitely look to pick up Mordekaiser. Now if we make our way into the jungle, similar to top lane, jungle really didn't get any significant changes in 9.17. We saw, I guess, a change to Kiana if you want to count that as a nerf to a jungler, but other than that, just expect the jungle meta to stay pretty stable in this coming patch year. So the only champion I'm going to be moving up into S tier is Dr. Mundo, and this isn't really because of any changes in this patch. Mundo got some buffs a couple of patches ago. He got a buff to his W and to his E. W tenacity got increased in the earlier ranks, and it's just at a flat 30% now at all ranks, and then his E's cooldown also got decreased. Now Mundo is performing extremely well right now in the jungle, especially in the lower elos. People are running fleet footwork on him, having a lot of success with that. It's just a jungler that can clear very fast in the early game there. He's also a jungler that scales extremely good into the mid to late game. Very easy to execute jungler, doesn't take a lot of skill to play, and he absolutely feasts on pretty much any tank jungler. Also does very well into AP junglers because he has the luxury of building like a Spirit Visage first item. He can also go Merc Tread, so things like, I don't know, Evelynn, Elise, Fiddlesticks, he does extremely well into. Also does super good into things like Sejuani and the Nunu. So along with Nunu now, Mundo is definitely one of the strongest tank junglers. I'd say Nunu is still a little bit stronger, but Mundo is definitely not too far behind. So if you do want to add another tank jungler to your champion pool, then Dr. Mundo is going to be a great choice for 9.17. And then as for the rest of the jungle picks, they're not going to go too much into detail about them because they have been S tier for at least a couple of patches now. For Jarvan and for Nunu though, definitely 2 of the strongest early game impact junglers. You can gank very effectively in the early game with these 2 picks. If you really want to get the ball rolling first couple of levels, then it's pretty difficult for the enemy team to avoid a Nunu gank. Nunu ganks are just so effective. Jarvan ganks also super good. You're pretty much always guaranteed to burn a flash when you are going in for a gank with Jarvan. So 2 of the strongest early game impact junglers for sure. For Hecarim and for Kha'Zix, 2 of the strongest raw carry junglers for this patch. If you want to be the one to carry the game, if you want to be the one to put your team on your back, then Hecarim and Kha'Zix are definitely the 2 picks to go for. For Elise, the strongest AP jungler without a doubt in 9.17. And then for Vi's just stayed quietly one of the strongest jungle picks for multiple patches in a row now, so just a pretty consistent jungler. You really can't go wrong with picking up Vi. Now if we make our way into the mid lane, a few mid laners did get changed in this patch. Aurelion Sol got that mini rework to his W. I feel like right now in this patch he's performing pretty decently. He's around like an A tier pick right now. I feel like a lot of people are playing him incorrectly though. A lot of people are still running Phase Rush on him instead of the Electrocute. So once people kind of understand how to play this new Aurelion Sol, we'll probably get a better idea as to where he sits on the tier list, but I'd say he's around an A tier pick right now. Kiana got nerfed in this patch, so definitely expect her to be quite a bit weaker. We did also see some changes to Galio, but honestly, like those changes are not going to do anything for him. Still expect Galio to be a pretty weak pick. So the S tier champion is going to stay pretty much the same as to where they were last patch. Expect your Mal's and your Ahri to be your most consistent mid lane picks for another patch here. Your Syndra, definitely a lot more effective in the higher elos. So I do have that little diamond icon beside her there. I think if you're in the lower elos, just stay away from the Syndra pick. She does take quite a bit more skill in order to play at a high level, but for the higher elos, do think she is an extremely good pick right now for 9.17. And for Kassadin, did get those nice buffs to his W last patch, so in melee matchups up against AP champions, say like the Fizz for example, or the Rumble, the Katarina, then he can do very well. He's just got an even stronger early game, which for Kassadin is not really something that I think he should have. Like if a champion scales super well into the mid to late game, his early game should not be as good, but it is right now. So he's definitely a champion that's not as punishable. He's a champion that if you can get to 2 to 3 items on him, and especially if you can get to your level 16, then you can just 1v9 games on Kassadin. Zed and for Talon remaining your two best AD assassins right now in this patch. And then for Fizz, really good AP assassin, I'd say, along with your Kassadin there, two of the best AP assassin picks right now for 9.17. And then for Rumble, definitely still a super underrated mid lane pick. Not too sure as to why more people don't pick up this champion, but he just has an extremely good early game, very good mid game spike there. When he does pick up his Leandries, can completely solo carry team fights in the mid game with his ultimate and with the amount of AoE damage he can provide for his team. So if you are someone who does like to pick up underrated champions, or you like to play the picks that aren't played as often, then definitely look to pick up Rumble, because he is a very strong yet underrated pick for 9.17. And then if we move down to the bot lane, first taking a look at AD carry. In this patch, we saw buffs to both Kalista and to Lucian, but the changes weren't quite enough to propel, I'd say, Lucian up into S tier. They definitely would not be enough to propel Kalista up into S tier. She is still gonna be a pretty weak pick for this patch right now, but Lucian's definitely a little bit better. I'd say that if you do want to play a strong early game AD carry down in the bot lane, he's definitely worth picking up now in this patch, but he's just not quite an S tier champion in 9.17. Now, if there's one AD carry who does get indirectly a lot stronger for this patch, it would be the Jhin pick. We saw buffs to both Zyra and Leona in 9.17. Those two supports are going to be seeing a lot more play. They're also going to be a lot stronger, and just any heavy CC lane paired up with Jhin does very well. The amount of chain crowd control you have in those kind of lanes is really good. The amount of burst potential you do have in those lanes is great. So with Zyra going to be seeing more play, the Zyra Jhin lane is just absolutely disgusting, especially when you do hit level 6. If Zyra just hits a root, it's pretty much a guaranteed kill due to the amount of just burst threat you do have coming out of both the Jhin and the Zyra after that. So that's a pretty strong lane now in 9.17. It was already strong before, but it gets even stronger here in this patch. Leona paired up with Jhin, also super good. If you take a look at the other most picked supports in this patch, you got Thresh, Pyke, Morgana, Nautilus, so just very good heavy CC lanes, and those are the kind of lanes that Jhin likes to play in. Now the Draven and Tristana also kind of get indirectly stronger in this patch. Leona paired up with Tristana has a very good level 2 all-in, so definitely be looking to try to hit that when you are playing that combo down in the bot lane, because if Leona can hit an EQ at level 2 and Tristana can just jump in, plant her bomb on the opponent, and just get a lot of burst damage off, then you're going to be able to at least burn a flash there at level 2. And then same thing for Draven, just look to play aggressive at level 2 in those Leona lanes or in the Zyra lanes. You are going to be seeing a lot more of those here now in 9.17. For Kai'Sa and for Vayne, very good scaling AD carries, super good mid to late games, definitely a little bit more exploitable in the early game though, so you got to make sure that you don't fall too far behind in the early game with those two picks. For Caitlyn, definitely one of the strongest early game AD carries at the moment, so if you do want to play a stomp lane AD carry, either pick up the Caitlyn or the Draven in this patch. For the Xayah, definitely one of the most consistent AD carries for solo queue. I just really like the fact that with Xayah, you don't rely on your support or on your team in order for you to stay alive or in order for you to peel in team fights. You got the self peel in your kit with your ultimate, which can help you out from dive champions. You also have your root, so you can do a really good job at just getting dive champions off of you, kiting back, rooting them up, and it's actually pretty difficult for certain champions like a Fizz, for example, to actually get onto the Xayah and burst her out in mid to late game fights. And then for the Jinx, I could have talked about her as well when I was talking about Jhin there, but she also does very well with a lot of the heavy CC support before, she does have the potential to have a very good burst combo early on in the laning phase, and especially at level 6. If you pair Jinx up with the Zyra hits a root, Jinx throws down her flame chompers, just a lot of burst potential, a lot of CC lock potential in those kind of lanes. And then lastly, if we round it out by taking a look at support, we do got Zyra and Leona moving up into S tier. So Zyra and Leona both got buffed in this patch. I say Zyra's buffs were definitely a little bit more impactful for sure. Zyra got some really nice changes. Cooldown got decreased on her ultimate. The mana cost on her ultimate also got decreased there. So it just allows Zyra in the early to mid game to have a lot more kill threat. Whenever you have your ultimate up with Zyra, you can look to play so much more aggressive, because if you can hit a root and you got your ultimate up, it's pretty much a guaranteed summoner spell, or it's a guaranteed kill even, especially if you do have an AD carry who can follow up with some burst damage too. So like I was talking about earlier, pair Zyra up with Jhin in this patch and you are going to have a ton of success. As for the Leona pick there, got a pretty small buff to her Q in this patch, but she has been buffed quite a bit over the past few months here as well. She got some buffs a couple patches ago as well, so they are finally starting to add up. And Leona right now, especially against a lot of the very squishy heal shield supports being played, if you throw Leona in up against someone like a Soraka right now or a Sona, and you can get level 2, look to all in them super early in the lane, then you can just snowball those kind of lanes out of control. And the rest of the S tier is going to stay pretty much the same as to where it was last patch. So you do have a lot of very aggressive early game snowball supports in the S tier right now. You got your Nautilus, Blitz, Thresh, and your Pike, all very good kill threat support champions. They can all look to go for a level 2 all in. You can look to snowball lane super good with these champions. So if you do want to climb in solo queue right now, I think the meta down in the support role is very strong, and you do have a lot of carry potential with the champions that are the strongest. For the Bard pick there, definitely a champion that can perform very well if you put the time into the pick. He got buffed a couple of patches ago. He is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, roaming supports in the game. So if you can time your roams well with Bard and you can influence the map in the early to mid game, then you can get your lane snowballing. But you definitely do have to choose your roams wisely. I think he's definitely a pick that can work a lot better in the higher elos, because if you leave your AD carry alone and you go for a roam with Bard and your AD carry just ends up dying, then you can completely throw the lane by doing that, especially if your roam doesn't work out. So you got to make sure your AD carry is on the same page if you are looking to go for roams, or look to go for roams when you are basing and you're both walking back to lane. That's usually a good time to look for a roam mid lane or something. But if you can be proactive around the map with Bard and you can get your other lane snowballing, then you can have a lot of success on him. And then for Janna, ever since she did get those changes a few patches back to where when she does hit an ability, it reduces the cooldown of her shield, she's been a very strong pick for solo queues. So she's just your best overall. Protect your team, protect your AD carry support that you can play at the moment. She has a ton of utility in her kit, which can be very impactful throughout the game. So that is going to be all for this video, guys. This patch was definitely relatively small, so not a super big shakeup to the S tier champions in this patch, but nonetheless, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully you do now have a pretty good idea of what the meta should look like in 9.17. So that being said, if you guys did enjoy the video, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I'll see you in my next video.